All right. All right, so you guys can hopefully see this. So if you want to take a quick second, if you've never used one of these sign-ins before, all you need to do is open up your smartphone. If you have an Apple phone, open up the camera. You don't have to take a picture of the QR code, just hover it over the QR code and it will automatically pop up a little box. You can click on that, it brings you to the website. If you don't have a smartphone, or if you have an Android that maybe you don't have a QR scanner, you can go right to rheem.com/ILC sign in. I'll give it about 30 seconds for anyone who can sign in. We'd appreciate it. It just helps us keep track of who we've trained. We do have some training goals that we're working towards, especially now that everyone's staying at home. It gives us, I think, a little bit of a different opportunity to provide webinar trainings. So we'll leave that. When you do get into that, it's going to ask for a training event ID. And so this particular class is ID 1040. So we'll just give that a quick minute and then we will move on. And while we're doing that too, I'll just really quick, I know not everyone has access to a microphone, but if you do, if you want to go ahead and mute it while we're doing the presentation, unless you have a question, then you can unmute it, but it helps to reduce any background noise or whatnot. But certainly as we're going through this presentation, feel free to unmute yourself and ask a question or utilize the chat box as well. So that would be fine. And then one last note. So I think we probably have a bit of a mixed crowd on here. I know we have members from VEIC, Efficiency Vermont. Hopefully we have a few plumbers, maybe some distributors on board. So we kind of have two different talking points, right? So hold tight. I'm going to try to get it all into this presentation in a timely fashion to make it informative for both groups. So certainly we'll have the information that's relevant to you as well as to the other group. All right. So let's just froze up for 1 second. There we go. All right, so ProTerra, that is the name of our new 5th generation hybrid. So we have two portions of this training. Level 1, we're going to cover kind of model lineups and features, and level 2, we'll get a little bit more in depth with installation considerations, as well as how to use the user interface and some of the connectivity and whatnot. All right, so for anyone in the plumber world, this is our regional team for Rheem. So obviously we partner with Ed Oz as our regional rep. We have Mark Bruder and Tom Landry on the call as our reps who represent us for water heating up there. But certainly Harry's on the call. Paul is our commercial manager. We have Ray, who covers our tankless products. And then Joe and Steve are 2 plumbing support managers. They're actually master plumbers who formerly owned their own business for, I think, 15 plus years. And so they're great resources. So certainly feel free to take a quick little picture of this screen, or we can share this information with you. And then my name is Diane Cabral, and I am the utilities and residential new construction manager for the region. Right. So introducing the new ProTerra. So when we look at this product, we're super, super excited. It just launched the first week of May. And there's really 3 key talking points when we're looking at this product, right? So it is smart, it is sustainable, and it offers substantial savings, right, for both utility companies as well as for the end user or the homeowner. So when we say it's smart, we've added in a lot of features that we think are really beneficial for the homeowner, and also things that we think utility companies are going to be interested in. So some of those things are, and we're going to go more in depth throughout the presentation on these things and how to utilize them. But certainly we have an auto shutoff now that's available in our premium model. So it's going to prevent catastrophic damage within the home. We have leak detection that's available on all of the models. All of them now come with Wi-Fi, remote controllability, compressor and element health indicator, as well as hot water availability. Also, again, looking at the utility side of things, we have added in a utility time of use scheduling. So we have a homeowner time of use scheduling. Homeowner can go in and set some time of use, different temperature, modes of operation, and whatnot. But we've also added an option now where utility companies can actually go into the MyRheem portal. They can actually set up their own time of use schedule specific to that utility company. So we know some utility companies are winter peaking, some are summer peaking, some are for the morning or the afternoon or evening. So they can go in, set up to 5 different seasons, and then the homeowner can actually choose that as a schedule, right, that they can set their water heater to, so they don't have to go in and try to figure it out. They can just utilize that. And there doesn't have to be a Wi-Fi connection for this. That can be done through a local connection when it's being installed. So the contractor would be able to, right from the contractor app, be able to utilize this. So again, just different things that we're doing to make this more friendly and easier for utility companies. So it's sustainable, offers the highest efficiency. So right now our uniform energy factor is up to a 4.0 on some of the models. Certainly reduces the carbon footprint significantly. We offer energy usage tracking, and it's Energy Star rated. So when we talk about reducing the carbon footprint, for those who aren't familiar, what does that really mean, right? So when we look on the left side, we have the 50-gallon ProTerra. On average, about 846 pounds of CO2 per year that is emitted with the 50-gallon model, right? We compare that to a standard electric water heater, 50-gallon model, right? On average, almost 3,500 pounds of CO2 per year. So when you look at that, if you install a hybrid versus a standard electric water heater, I mean, you're looking at over 2,500 pounds of CO2 per year reduced of what's being emitted into the environment, right? So when we look at offsetting that, you would need to plant an additional 202 trees to offset the carbon emissions from that standard electric water heater. So we know this can play a really big role in the state's goals to reduce carbon emissions and to hit those efficiency goals. Most of them are like by 2050 that we're looking to try and get those emissions kind of under control. So for those who aren't familiar, you think, well, this is electric. How is it emitting any carbon, right? It's not gas, it's not propane, it's not oil. So for those who aren't aware, power stations that provide electricity, a lot of times are using oil or gas or some other form of power in order to create that energy. So that's where we're getting those CO2 emissions from. All right, and then just looking for value proposition with solar, right? So if you're looking to combine solar with hybrid, you're getting the best or the most efficient platform, right? So if you think of it this way, a heat pump water heater, when it's only utilizing the heat pump, needs about 2.5 solar panels to run. A standard electric water heater utilizing the elements needs almost 10 solar panels to run. So really, we've talked to a lot of people who are utilizing solar already, and they've switched their water heater out and are utilizing now a hybrid water heater, and they're freeing up some of those panels to be used for other things within the home and reducing their energy bill significantly more. So just something to keep in mind for anyone who's thinking about solar or already utilizing solar. All right, so we said it offers savings, right? So we said it's smart, sustainable savings. So we know it's going to save money and energy. We talked about it reducing overall energy usage, reducing the carbon footprint. We do have an energy saving schedule. So we have the one for the utility. We also have one for the homeowner that they can do their own. Built-in demand response and also vacation settings. So when we look at, we talked about that 75% reduction in energy usage. These energy guides are the average cost per year to run a hybrid versus a standard electric water heater on this slide, right? So standard electric water heater, national average, a little over $400 a year to run. Hybrid water heater, national average, a little over $100 a year to run. And these are both 50-gallon models, okay? So they both have that medium level of first hour rating. So then we compare two that are a higher first hour rating, right? So we're looking at a 50-gallon gas and an 80-gallon heat pump water heater and what those would run. And again, national average, your gas, a little over $280 a year to run. Your 80-gallon heat pump, about $150 a year to run. So again, and for those areas where electricity is more expensive and gas is cheaper than the national average, it's actually going to make those more comparable. All right, so a quick overview. If you're not familiar with how the technology works, we'll go through a step-by-step. So really quick, it's a hybrid heat pump water heater. Because hybrid, it's two types of technology. So you have a heat pump sitting on top of a standard electric water heater. You're taking two types of technologies and they're working together to give you the best recovery for the most efficient way possible. All right. So right here, we're looking at the heat pump. It's taking in ambient air. It's the heat from that air is being absorbed by the evaporator coil, right? Then the compressor is going to increase the temperature of the refrigerant. We know that that heated refrigerant is now going to be pumped into the condenser coil. And then that condenser coil, it's actually wrapped around the tank so that that heat can transfer into the water inside of the tank. And if you can see my mouse, hopefully you can, this is the 4th generation model. Our 5th generation model, these coils actually come all the way up almost here to where that top element is. So we're actually getting more heat transfer now. So a little video I'm going to play for you guys. I just got to turn on the volume. So, and this is going to kind of recap what I just said.
Introducing the new Rheem hybrid electric water heater. Here's how it works. A fan pulls air through the upper enclosure of the heat pump. The air passes through a filter to remove any debris or dust. Heat in the air is absorbed by eco-friendly refrigerant inside the evaporator coil, and cool, dehumidified air is exhausted. Refrigerant is pumped by a compressor through the refrigerant system. The compressor increases the temperature of the refrigerant, which is delivered to the condenser. The condenser tubing is wrapped around the water heater tank where heat is transferred from the refrigerant to the water. Rheem hybrid electric water heater installs as easily as a standard electric water heater. It also provides more hot water than most electric units and delivers it faster. Rheem's new hybrid electric water heaters. Savings, peace of mind, and convenience from the start.
So again, just a quick overview of how that technology works, right? So sound familiar? This is technology that we have seen, right? Tried and true for those, certainly not Vermont. I think Vermont was the trailblazer when it came to utilizing hybrid heat pump water heaters. But for a lot of areas, we go and we talk to people and they're kind of like, oh, it's new. I don't really know if I trust the technology. We know it's technology that's been around for a while, right? Refrigerators, freezers, air conditioners are all utilizing a very similar form of this. Only difference is instead of creating a cooling effect, we are actually creating a heating effect. All right, so now to kind of get into it. So this is a quick recap of our older models, right? Our 4th generation, the ones that are kind of in stores now, they're selling through as a 5th generation is kind of filtering in. So quick comparison for you on what we've changed, right? So formerly, we had 2 different models, right? We had a builder model and a prestige model. So on the builder model, it was available in 50, 65, and 80 gallon capacities. It was NEA Tier 3. It didn't have any bells and whistles, right? So it required a Wi-Fi module if you wanted Wi-Fi. It required a duct adapter if you needed to duct it. And it could not offer leak detection. You could not add that on, okay? So when we look at the prestige model, higher UEF on that was a 3.55 up to a 3.7. Again, still NEA Tier 3, 50, 65, and 80 gallon capacities. Has the integrated Wi-Fi, has the leak detection built in, quietest available model on the market at about 49 decibels. Okay, so that's what we had before. So now what we're looking at is more of a good, better, best platform, right? So we're going to have the hybrid builder, the ProTerra, and then the ProTerra with leak guard. All right, so when we look at the hybrid builder model, so we've now added a 40 gallon. It's going to be actually for all platforms. So we have a smaller footprint, which we think is going to be a really good fit in certain applications. We'll talk about that in a little bit. So integrated Wi-Fi, again, that's across all platforms. 0 side clearance requirement on these. Widest range of ambient temperature. This particular model, NEA Tier 3. And it doesn't come with leak detection built in, but it comes leak detection ready. All right, so our ProTerra is going to be everything that that builder offers plus. Okay, so it's going to be up to a 4.0 UEF. For those who are in the utility world, it's demand response ready with CTA 2045. We'll talk a little bit about that. Certainly, again, still the quietest in the market. This is going to come leak detection and shutoff valve ready, NEA Tier 4, which is a really big deal for those in the utility world, right? Energy efficiency world. And then we have the ProTerra with leak guard, which is going to be everything that ProTerra had, plus the 360 water leak detection system and an auto shutoff. So we have some really cool pro tips throughout this presentation, so I'm going to try to make sure I hit them all. So the first pro tip, recirculation has not changed from the Gen 4 model. So a lot of people want to do recirculation with this. You can. We recommend when running recirculation to always run it in high demand mode. And we'll talk about that later on how the thermistors work on this unit in order for the algorithm and the smart technology to work. So just remember, if you're going to do recirculation, high demand mode. And I see a question in the chat box. Does ProTerra come in a 40 gallon? So all models come with a 40 gallon. So the builder model, ProTerra, and ProTerra with leak guard will all come with a 40 gallon availability. All right, so some key component changes, the 40 gallon, right? So we're really excited about this. We think this is going to be a really good fit for like a multifamily situation, small apartments, maybe only one or two bedroom, one or two people, maybe two or three people living there, tight space for installation. So we have that smaller footprint, right? We'll show you the spec sheet later on showing you exactly what that footprint looks like. But certainly for a small utility closet, we think this is going to be a great fit for that. All right, so a couple other things that we have changed. We used to always talk about how our units came ducting ready. We found about 95% of installs were not utilizing the ducting. Most of them were just dropping it in. Open basement, garage, attic install, you didn't need to duct. Only 5% were using the ducting. So we decided, hey, if you need to duct now, after market kit that you can purchase. And we've decided to add in Wi-Fi across the board and some other things. So we've done some other things with that. Just be aware, aftermarket kit for the ducting. So the other thing we've done is redesigned our user interface, which we're going to go through. So I promise pro tips, right? So on the Gen 4, and actually on all of our models, right over here, if you can see my cursor, that's where our condensate line is. And so there's actually a sensor inside of here in the evaporator drain pan to let us know if the condensate line is clogged up. So what we have done on that is the heat shrink on that has been extended to prevent false positives like we have with the Gen 4. So occasionally we'd get a false positive of that sensor in there. And so we've done some things to correct that. Just be aware of that. So a quick look at what the user interface looks like. And we will go through this in the second part of the presentation in detail on how to maneuver through this. But certainly very easy to use, right? You can change your temperature up or down, toggle through your modes of operation. There's various settings that you can now change on this to make it more user-friendly, make it easier for the homeowner. Certainly you can set up the Wi-Fi, clear alarms, all of those different things. So we've tried to make it as user-friendly as possible for homeowners and plumbers. All right, so good, better, best, right? So hybrid builder model. Just a quick look on the right, we can see our model numbers for the builder model all end with a BM. That's a clear indication, builder model. All builder models come with integrated Wi-Fi, remote control, compressor and element health indicator, hot water availability. You can add the leak sensor. You can see the part number. So for those who are in the plumbing world, there's the part number that will be available through our distributors. Only thing that you can't add on the builder model is going to be the auto shutoff. So quick pro tip, and this is going to be on all units. If the heat pump is inoperable or is not running within the recommended ambient air temperature, so when we see that ambient air temperature range up there is between 37 and 145 degrees. So if it's not running properly or not running within the recommended ambient air temperature, the unit will still run. It's just going to shut off the compressor and switch to just the element. So it's going to run in electric mode. So just be aware if you're doing an install and the source of the air, it's colder air coming in, it drops below that 37 degrees, you're going to lose efficiency but still have hot water. So compressor and element health indicator, this is brand new. So you're seeing that phone on the right. This is if the customer has that Wi-Fi hooked up and they're utilizing the app, they can actually see the element health and the compressor health. So you see that bar there showing green means it's good. If it's down on the red, it means that there's an issue and either the element or the compressor is not functioning properly. So how we're doing that, when we look at our pro tip, compressor and element health will be based on the amp draw of the components. So if there's an over amperage or an under amperage, that's going to indicate an issue. And again, in the second half of this training, we're going to show you a new test mode feature that's going to show you how you can check those components. So new also, hot water availability. I liken this to the battery on your phone. So you have the battery on your phone. It shows you the amount of life that's left to your phone, right? Mine right now, I think it's about 98%. So this isn't going to show you the exact percentage of hot water that's available in the tank, but it's going to give you in 25% increments, right? So it'll show you 100%, 75, 50, and 25%. So certainly for the mom or dad who's their kids just took a bath, they're thinking about taking a shower, it's at 25%. I'm probably going to wait, right? Half hour, 45 minutes until I got more of a buffer of hot water before I jump in. Otherwise, I'm having a cold shower. And again, if you guys have any questions, feel free to either unmute yourself or jump into that chat box and fire away. We'd love to have some interaction and some questions from you. All right, so our ProTerra, so we talked about our good, now we're talking about our better option. So ProTerra is the only model that comes available in both 15 and 30 amps. And again, if you look at those model numbers, -15 indicates the 15 amp, -30 indicates the 30 amp. So we get a lot of questions. Why would we want a 15 amp model? We know most water heaters traditionally come in a 30 amp model. However, we've had some projects, I think it was Connecticut or New York, where it was older homes. They were utilizing a water heater that was using like a 3,000 watt element. I think the panel, the amperage on that was like either a 20 or 25 amp service. And so they had two options, right? They could upgrade their electric capacity, which is super expensive. They're putting in a sub panel, bringing in an electrician to do all this work, or they could utilize the 15 amp model and then just make sure that they maybe upsize it, right? So it is going to have a slower recovery than a traditional 30 amp because the elements are a 2250 watt instead of a 3000 watt. So certainly there is a good option, especially in the Northeast, with a lot of older homes with older electrical infrastructure. Maybe they only have 100 amps for the whole house. They could utilize that 15 amp model. So again, all of these units come with the Wi-Fi, remote control, compressor, element health, and hot water availability. You can see the kit there to add the leak sensor and the auto shut off on this, right? Need tier 4. So you really get a good amount of value with this product. So the CTA 2045, and again, for the plumber, this isn't going to mean a whole lot, but for those in the utility world, looking at energy efficiency, what we have done is, so there's a lot of utility companies that are doing demand response programs, right? So out in the Midwest, they will use very large storage capacity water heaters with a timer, and it's going to turn the water heater on and off, and that's how they're going to control their load management, right? We have pilot projects going on where they're utilizing Wi-Fi to turn the water heaters on and off or putting them in different modes of operation to save energy during peak capacity. And now we've added in another layer. So CTA 2045 is simply a port that allows the utility company, they can add a module and actually control the water heater through that CTA 2045 connector. So they can do it through FM, cellular. There's a variety of options. So really all we're doing is giving more options for utility companies to be able to manage their grid without adding a lot of extra cost to them. So for those who are not in the utility world, if you're just a plumber or a distributor, if someone wants to know about that CTA 2045, hey, that is for the utility companies. You don't need to touch it unless you're working with the utility company. All right, so we've added maintenance alerts. This is available on the ProTerra and the ProTerra with Leak Guard. Filter needs to get not changed, but cleaned probably once a year. So now there is a notification alert that will go out to the homeowner, like a reminder to let them know, hey, time to clean your filter. Kind of like you get like your oil now on newer cars, they'll actually send you a reminder to get your oil changed before it's too late. So now you get the reminder to clean out your filter. All right, so last, our best option, ProTerra with Leak Guard. We look at our model numbers. All of them end in -SO. That just means auto shutoff. So these are the ones who have the auto shutoff built in. All right, so we can see on the right, it had everything that the other models have with the Wi-Fi and whatnot. It also now has the auto shutoff and the 360 leak detection system. On this model and this model only, we do ask that a drain pan be installed with these units. So let's see if I can get my cursor to pop up right here. You can see that red rope. That is part of the leak detection system. It is pretty sensitive. So we don't want any false positives. So we require a drain pan to be installed with this to help eliminate false positives. So to show you what that new leak detection system looks like, so if we remove that bottom cover, you can see that wire right there. So if this was a ProTerra and not a ProTerra with Leak Guard, you could actually take that wire and attach it, and it would sit down here in the drip pan or on the floor. But now that wire is connected and communicating with this rope, which is giving us that 360. So it goes all the way around the water heater. So if there's any leak that's detected anywhere around that water heater, it's going to let the homeowner know within 15 seconds. Quick pro tip on this. If you have a nuisance alarm, right? If there's an accidental spill, something happens and it sets off the alarm and you know that the water heater is not leaking, you can just go right on that user interface, hit that clear alarm button, and it's going to override and silence the alarm for 24 hours. So if there's a nuisance alarm, you can override that. So how the leak detection system works. So a leak is detected. No more than 24 ounces of water can escape from the water heater before it creates a vacuum type seal to prevent any more water from leaking. And then it takes about 15 seconds to notify the auto shutoff, and it's going to close the valve. And then also send a notification if they have the Wi-Fi hooked up to the homeowner. So all of that's done within 15 seconds, shuts it off, vacuum seal, closes the valve, lets the homeowner know that a leak has been detected. This is just to give you a quick look at what the auto shutoff looks like. Pretty standard model, does have a manual override. This will close and open once every 48 hours just to make sure it's not stuck and that it's functioning properly. But just to, again, give you a quick look at what that looks like. And this is, again, just a high-level overview, right? So we have our builder model. All of those unit model numbers end with the BM. You can add that leak sensor. You can't add the auto shutoff. Our ProTerra, available in both 15 and 30 amps, indicated by the -15 or the -30 on the model number. Again, your kit, you can add the leak sensor and shutoff. And then also our ProTerra with leak guard has everything already right out of the box, all of those model numbers -SO. So everyone pretty good on that so far, not too many questions. So quick look, when we're looking at our specs, there's some key things that I want to point out here. Again, we have the 40 gallon that's available. If we look at our UEFs on the 30 amp, all of them are a 3.75. The 80 gallon is a 4.0. So we've bumped those up quite a bit. They used to be a 3.55 or a 3.7. Our elements, so now on the 30 amp, they're 4,500 watt. On the 15 amp, again, those are 2250 watt. But the last thing I want to point out is our height. A standard 50 gallon tall is usually about 5 feet, about 60 inches. So these are a little bit taller, right? So our 50 gallons, 62 inches. Our 40 gallons actually taller at 63 inches. But your diameter, pretty good, right? So on our 40 gallon, that's a very narrow diameter, just a little over 20 inches. You can get that into a really nice tight spot. And then certainly on our 50 gallon, 22 1/4, pretty standard size on the diameter for that. All right, so quick look at installing a hybrid versus installing a standard electric, right? Average install, national average install for hybrid, about 2,500. Average for installing a standard electric, about 1,500. Cost difference is about $1,000. We factor in our rebate. There's a federal tax credit that's available, right? So our upgrade price difference is really only about $100 on this. We factor in our yearly savings. It's paid for itself very, very quickly. So for any plumbers out there, great option for your customer. You let them know about the rebate and the tax credit, and it's really not going to cost them a whole lot more out of pocket. All right, so kind of us versus our competitors, right? So AO and Bradford have a good product out there, but we're really proud. We've done a lot of things. Obviously, we're the only ones with the connectivity, the auto shutoff and those things, but a few things that I think are really tangible for the plumber, right? So certainly that clearance requirement. So we do require 6 inches clearance above the unit to access the filter, 0 side clearance on these units. All of the serviceable components are on the front of this unit. Our competitors for that clearance are going to need anywhere from 3 inches up to 3 feet, depending on the install and the unit. So certainly we're trying to make it easier for the install side. Also, widest range of ambient temperature, right? So our compressor will function between 37 up to 145 degrees. So we think that's a big one. And then certainly quietest available on the market with less than 50 decibels. So what is the same versus a standard electric water heater, right? Still same voltage, 208 or 240, 30 and 15 amp available. It can be transported on its side, can be placed against a wall, and we'll specify that little asterisk what we mean by that, and 100% plumber serviceable. So if you're not aware, 10-year warranty on these units, and any portion that the refrigerant flows through is considered a sealed system. So whether it's the evaporator, the compressor, the coils, any part of that, we don't expect a plumber to service those components, right? So if any part of that system fails, Rheem is actually going to replace the entire water heater and just do a swap out and then tack on that remaining warranty for that homeowner. So any questions on that before we talk a little bit about commercial? I'm not seeing anything in the chat box. All right. So commercial has not changed from the Gen 4. I think by next year we'll have a Gen 5 on the commercial side, but just be aware, great light duty option. Okay. 50, 65, and 80 gallon capacity, 3-year warranty. It only comes in the 30 amp version. But this is fantastic for any business who doesn't need a huge dump load, but they just need some hot water, right? So strip malls, maybe some offices or something like that. This is a great option for them. All right, so we're going to take a quick pause. So that was kind of our new lineup. Here's kind of the product offering. We're going to do a little bit more of a deep dive and talk about some of the user interface, install tips, installation considerations, those types of things. Before we do that, any questions, comments that anyone wants to jump in on?
A couple things I wanted to. Okay.
Go ahead.
The one question I had was on the ProTerra mid-grade unit where we have the ability to add leak detection and the auto shutoff.
Mhm.
It has come up if the unit's already installed and somebody wanted to just add leak detection. I'm assuming they can just add the leak detection by itself.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll show you the parts kits, and you can just get the leak detection wire.
The other thing I wanted to ask the Vermont people specifically is, are they giving any type of rebates on commercial products at all? Connecticut, for an example, just started acknowledging the fact of the commercial heat pumps as far as allowing rebates.
This is Cooper Thompson speaking from Efficiency Vermont. We are offering the same rebates that we offer to residential customers on the commercial products that are on the qualified products list as well.
Okay,
Awesome.
so we need to get our unit listed on the commercial list, or on the listing at least, because I don't think the commercial version was listed there.
All right, I can get with Cooper on that, and we'll see what we can do about getting that added onto the list. I know that they've already added on the Gen 5 units. We're able to get that taken care of pretty quickly, so thank you for that. All right, anything else, Mark, before we move on?
No, I think that was it.
Very good. All right, so we're just going to kind of go through the new user interface. Some of this is going to be pretty straightforward and standard, and some of it is new, and I think some really cool features that we've added in. So certainly turning the unit on and off, pretty straightforward, right? So you push the button on, turns it on, hit that same button, you turn it off, pretty straightforward. I will note on these newer Gen 5 models that there's a little bit of memory built in. So if you have a power outage, any settings that you've put in here will actually be saved. So on the Gen 4, you really didn't have any memory built in. So that is something that is new. So keep that in mind on the Gen 5. A little bit of memory makes it easier for the homeowner not have to go in and reprogram anything if there is a power outage. All right, so switching modes of operation. So right out of the box, this comes in energy saver mode. All right, so if the homeowner wants to switch it to a different mode of operation, all they need to do from the user interface is hit that mode button, and they can toggle through until it gets to the desired mode of operation. So those modes of operation look like this, right? So we have high demand mode. We have heat pump only, which is going to be just the heat pump, no elements. We have electric only, which just note that that actually shows up below the temperature setting. And then we do a vacation mode. And again, they can utilize their smartphone or an iPad to control all of these features. And they actually get a little bit more flexibility with the phone, right? So in vacation mode, they can actually schedule to turn on or turn off on a certain day. But right from the user interface, they can just program it right into that mode of operation. So again, default setting, energy saver mode, what does that mean, right? So it's going to utilize the heat pump first for recovery, and then as needed, the element can be engaged. How does it know when to engage the element? So it's a smart algorithm. So how it works, we have 4 thermistors on this unit, right? So you have one at the bottom of the unit where the cold water inlet is. You have one near the lower element, one near the upper element, and one near the hot water outlet. So the water heater has a good idea of how cold the water is coming in, how quickly the water is. So what's the call for demand on the unit, right? And then it knows the temperature that's being exited out of that unit. So it knows, hey, they're using a lot more hot water. The heat pump can't keep up. I'm going to kick in that element, right? So it's using a smart algorithm. We do have heat pump only setting. So it's going to utilize just the compressor. No elements will be engaged. So this is going to deliver a little over 1,200 watts of recovery. So pretty slow recovery, but it's very, very efficient. It uses less than 500 watts of power to do that. High demand mode is going to, again, similar to energy saver, is going to utilize the compressor as well as the elements, but it can also do those simultaneous, which would give you maximum recovery. So you would get your 4,500 watts plus your 1230 heat pump working in conjunction, so you get maximum recovery on that. Electric only, all right, so it's going to just utilize the elements. Compressor will not be engaged. And then again, vacation mode that they can choose to turn on. And again, I said you can schedule that through the app. So this chart is just to show you mode of operation and then efficiency versus recovery, right? I think this is important for homeowners to understand this so they know which mode of operation they want to use. So certainly electric only, again, just the elements, very low efficiency, but offers a fast recovery. High demand mode, again, heat pump and elements can be combined. Medium level of efficiency with a very fast recovery. Energy saver, again, is the default, utilizing the heat pump and elements based on that smart algorithm. High level of efficiency with a fast recovery. Heat pump only, just the compressor, again, very high efficiency, but a slow recovery. So setting the temperature, again, pretty straightforward, right? We want to turn our temperature up. We hit the up arrow. Anything at 120 degrees or above, that scald risk will appear both on the user interface as well as in the app. If they want to change that temperature down, that's fine as well. They can just hit the down arrow. Right from the phone, you can go up to 140 degrees on this unit. If you want to go up to the maximum of 150 degrees or above, between 140 and 150 degrees, homeowner needs to actually go to the user interface, hold down the up and down arrow at the same time, and then that will allow them to turn the temperature up to 150 degrees. Setting up the Wi-Fi, this is going to be very similar to any home appliance you have that's Wi-Fi compatible. You push the Wi-Fi button, it blinks until it's engaged. Once it turns solid, we know we can now connect the water heater to the homeowner's Wi-Fi or to the business's Wi-Fi. All right, so prior to doing that, the homeowner needs to go to their phone and install the app, right? So they're going to find the EcoNet app. It is this logo right here, right? So they can go into Apple, they can go into Google, get that app for free. They're going to go in and create a profile. Then they're going to add the product. So for those who aren't aware, both Rheem and Ruud, we have a variety of EcoNet-based products. So both on the air and on the water side. So they just need to select which product it is. They're going to add their location either through GPS or manually enter it in, right? And now they're ready to connect, right? So we get the water heater. We've pushed the Wi-Fi button. The homeowner has set up the app and it's ready to go. Now we can pair everything up together. So we're just going to select to connect to the EcoNet network. We're going to find available networks, right? Select the homeowner's network, put in the password, have them put in the password, wait for the product to establish connection. Once it's all set, this is now the screen that the homeowner is going to see. Okay, so this is their home screen from now on. What can they do from that home screen? So again, right, alerts and notifications, you can see it's at 120 degrees, so they have that caution, that little red banner up at the top that tells them they can change their temperature, mode of operation, right? They can look at usage reports. They can do the scheduling, product health. So basically all full functionality right from the app. So what does that look like? So remember I said we have the utility company can do scheduling, homeowner can also do scheduling. So if we look at the scheduling, it allows them to select any day of the week, different time slots. They can change the temperature set point as well as the mode of operation. So they can put this and kind of tweak it to be the most efficient for their needs. They can look at usage reports, right, for the week, the month, or the year, shows them how many kilowatt hours they're using. They can check the element health as well as the compressor health. They get notifications right to their phone. If you notice right there, it says forward to contractor. So when the installer installs this unit, they have the ability to add in their email and they can actually have that notification forwarded right to them. So, hey, Mrs. Smith's water heater's leaking. We can set up a time for me to come in today and visit. And let's say it's a different notification. Let's say it's the element or something else. They already have an idea of what's going on before they even get to the house. All right, so accessing settings. So again, we've made this more user-friendly. So now there is the ability for the homeowner to change different settings within the water heater. All right, so on our Gen 4 models, if there was an alert notification, you would automatically have the user interface beeping to let the homeowner know there was an issue. Let's say I have it set up to my phone and I don't want it to beep. I can go in and I can select no on that. I don't want the unit to beep if there's a notification sent. All right, so they can also go in and we can just toggle right through. We're not going to spend a ton of time on this, but they can change it to Fahrenheit or Celsius, right? They can look at their current alarms. They can look at the alarm history. They can certainly clear alarms. They can check on the Wi-Fi information that's on there. I'm just going to skip one more so we can get to the very last one right here. SOV installed. So if you remember on the ProTerra model, we said you can add a leak detection and an auto shut off. So right out of the box, that ProTerra model is going to say no for shutoff valve installed. So if we add the shutoff valve to it, we need to go into the settings, toggle till you get to here, select yes, and enter so that the water heater knows that there is now a shutoff valve installed with that unit. So that's very important. And that's pretty much it for going through our settings. All right. So we do have something new, a test mode, which I think is awesome for those who are servicing these units, right? So certainly when a plumber goes out and makes a service call, you know, there are going to be instances where there's a variety of things that could be going wrong to cause that issue. So as an example, right? Plumber goes out to a job, the water heater is not heating in energy saver mode. So they're going to look at that and say, well, it could be the compressor. It could be that the fan is not operating. It could be maybe that an element isn't functioning properly. So test mode allows the plumber to individually isolate and test just that one individual component. So as an example of that, they're going to hit the mode and next key. That's going to put them in test mode. And then they can go through and select which component they want to test. So we're not going to go through all of them. We're just going to give an example. So we toggle through. We decide we want to test the element. So we select upper element. We select enter. It's going to test the upper element. And remember, when we talked about that pro tip before, it's going to utilize the amperage to determine if it's an over amperage or under amperage, right? So look at this 0.075 amps. I look at my use and care manual. If that's correct, which is probably not, but if that was correct, then I'd say, okay, that's good. I'm going to go to my next component and test it. If it's not, then I know upper element isn't functioning. That's what needs to be replaced. So try to make it pretty user-friendly. All right, so for installation, not a lot has changed from the Gen 4 to the Gen 5 in terms it still needs the 700 cubic feet, right? So an open basement install, you drop it in, you hook up your condensate line, you're good to go. If you don't have the 700 cubic feet, you still have the options that we had before with the Gen 4 models, right? So option number 2, partial louver door with a 3/4 inch gap underneath. Make sure if you look at that square kind of in the bottom here, right down here, make sure that the exhaust portion of that heat pump is faced towards the louver doors. If you don't have option 2, if you have a full louver door or 2 louvers, the top and bottom of a door, that would work as well. And if you don't have those options available, you can still duct. Again, it's an aftermarket part that you have to get for the ducting kits. But certainly you can duct, and we have probably the best range of lengths versus any of our competitors. So on 8 inches, you can go up to 340 feet on rigid ducting, up to 125 feet on flexible ducting. If you wanted to go smaller, you could. You can see right there on the chart. Couple things to note. You still need to require that 6-inch clearance to access that filter. That's very important. And also, you can reduce down to 5 inches before penetrating through a wall. So just keep that in mind. All right, so we do have kits that are available. We're working with our distributors to make sure they have the kits that are going to be needed for their areas. But certainly we have the termination kits. We do have the ducting kits available, and we have the leak sensor as well as the leak sense and auto shutoff that are available. And so you can see what those look like. Certainly your termination kits, right? So this is that kit that we were talking about, Mark, where you can get just the wire if you needed. You can purchase these two together in a kit as well if you have that ProTerra, or you can just utilize the leak detection. 2 quick notes before we move on. When installing these, so this diagram actually, I want to point out, you should not use PEX. So this is, we're asking that first 18 inches be hard piped on these. You can use PEX after that, but the first 18 inches, we do want that to be a hard connection. And then just to let you know, on the ProTerra with leak guard, where we say that we want that drain pan installed with it, you do not need an oversized drain pan. You just need to make sure that that height is 2 inches or less, so it'll fit underneath the cold water inlet over here. Other than that, you should be good to go. So just keep those 2 things in mind on the installation. So local incentives. So Cooper, after this, I'm going to have you, if you want to go ahead and unmute yourself, because you're going to jump on and talk about this. So this is showing Vermont and New Hampshire, but certainly for Vermont, right, we have $300 to $600 instant or mail-in for Vermont customers. If it's a customer for Washington Electric Co-op, they can actually get an additional $150 bill credit, and there's also a $200 extra incentive available for a moderate income bonus. So Cooper, if you want to talk about your slide and share about the program, that'd be awesome.
Great. Thanks, Diane, and thanks to Rheem for putting this together. So we do have a $300 or a $600 rebate based on the NIA tier. So for tier 1 and 2 water heaters, there's a $300 rebate. And then actually this table, we hadn't had any models until this Rheem model came on. Tier 3 and 4 get a $600 rebate. These are available on a bunch of different models. Rheem obviously has a couple great models that are on the list. The most common way for people to take advantage of the discount is to go to a distributor. Basically, the contractor provides the installation address in Vermont, and they'll get a $600 reduction on the price of the unit at the time of purchase. Great way for people to get their money back right away, especially for people that are considering the upfront cost. And then for other customers that purchase the water heater through somewhere outside of a distributor, they can send in for a mail-in or online rebate. There's also a moderate income bonus, as Diane mentioned. This is a self-certified bonus for customers that basically submit after they purchased a water heater. It's a pretty good option for a lot of folks. And then for members, for contractors that are in Efficiency Vermont's contractor network called the Efficiency Excellence Network, their customers can take advantage of low interest financing through either the home energy loan for residential customers or the business energy loan for commercial customers.
Awesome. So yeah, I think Efficiency Vermont has done a fantastic job of making this really easy for homeowners and for contractors to take advantage of this program. So Harry's asking if it's a midstream. So that is an instant incentive, Harry, at the distributor, so long as the distributor is participating with the program. If they're not, I believe they can go and apply online as well. Cooper, is that correct?
Yeah, customers that purchased it, if they went to a distributor that wasn't on our list, most in Vermont are, they could submit either online or through the mail, and then we can also add distributors to our list as well if there's someone that's new or not on our radar.
Sure. And maybe if you wouldn't mind, if someone from your team could maybe get us a list of our contractors who are participating so we can compare that and see if we're missing anyone. I know probably most are already involved, but if they're not, we certainly would like to encourage all of them to participate with this.
Sounds good. Will do.
Awesome. All right, so something else that we have done at Rheem, obviously providing. Go ahead, Harry.
I'm sorry. Did he say contractors on it or distributors on the list?
So distributors.
And do we have Blodgett on there?
So he's going to send me a list of who is participating with that, and we can then follow up and make sure that all of our guys are participating.
All right,
Blodgett is on the list.
Okay, Blodgett's awesome. Fantastic. Thanks, Harry. So obviously we're also providing collateral, right, to help. So certainly these are countercards that we've created. These happen to be for Maine and Connecticut, but we could certainly have them edited for any of our distributors who are up in Vermont, right? So we could let them know, hey, $600 incentive available. We show the 3 models that are there. All of them qualify for that higher level $600 rebate. So certainly we could work with our partners to provide that collateral. All right, so really quick, we're going to do this video and then we'll bring it home. So this is talking about our contractor program. So again, for any plumbers and distributors who may be on the call, we very much value the relationships that we have out in the field, the plumbers who are installing our product, and in appreciation for all the things that they do for us as a company, we have a lot of fantastic programs that are available to help them to be more successful. So we're going to show this video that shows you all of the different programs that are available to them. right. So again, just a quick recap on that. You know, we recognize that not all plumbers are necessarily the most tech savvy. Maybe they need a website. Maybe it's Rep Booster to help them keep tabs on their online reputation, how to handle reviews, how do you handle a negative review? What do you do if you have a positive review? How do you make the most of that? So a lot of features that we have and programs that we have that are available to help with that. All right, so just really quick, we do have innovation learning centers. I just like to always touch on this. So we have 5 innovation learning centers in North America. Closest one for Vermont is going to be at our EMAX facility in Waterbury, Connecticut. Currently, all of our innovation learning centers, unfortunately, are closed, which is understandable. We don't know when those are going to reopen. I would like to think optimistically for the fall. We're going to see, right? As everyone is right now at this time, we're seeing how things go, and we don't want to do it before we feel it's safe. But once they do reopen, great facilities. They have live fire rooms, hands-on training. This year, our goal was anyone who attended would also get a Protection Plus kit as a way of saying thank you. It's all inclusive, right? So we provide meals and hotel. But it's a really great experience for contractors to be able to go in, get good hands-on experience. So it's certainly something that we will be looking to promote as things begin to reopen. So just something to keep in mind. All right, so to end, sustainability. Again, you know, as a company, we're coming up on our 100-year anniversary, and we have put some sustainability goals in place. We know that across the United States, states have put their own sustainability goals in place, which is why we're seeing all of these efficiency programs, these $600 rebates. So what Rheem has done is we have put 3 sustainability goals in place. So our first goal is to launch a line of heating, cooling, and water heating products that will boast a 50% reduction in greenhouse gas footprint. So we're looking to create products that are going to help states achieve their sustainability goals, okay? Our second one is by 2025, we want to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 50% and achieve zero waste to landfill in our global manufacturing operations. So not only do we want to provide products that are going to help businesses and homeowners be more sustainable, our own company is looking to be more sustainable in our manufacturing operations. And then lastly, by 2025, Rheem globally is looking to train 250,000 plumbers and contractors on sustainable products or sustainable installation and recycling best practices. So part of that is doing these webinars talking about high efficiency products. Certainly when the innovation learning centers are open, we want to bring in contractors, installers there to teach them about high efficiency products and best practices. So that is our goal. We're working really hard on that. And so that kind of ends this portion of the presentation, right? So now I'd like to open it up for any questions. I know we've had some questions we were going through, but certainly any technical questions, any comments, any questions about the efficiency Vermont program at all?
So that's at the point of purchase. They go into Blodgett, they go up and they buy one of our ProTerras. They get a $600 instant rebate, correct?
That is correct. Yep. They just provide an installation address when they go in to purchase it, and the discount will be applied.
We should be blowing out of these up there.
So it's a fantastic program, and certainly something that we can look to work with our distributors for, you know, whether marketing, getting some counter cars, or whatever that looks like. Right now, obviously, we can't travel, but when there is opportunity to get up there, we'd love to get up there and help get out and bring some pull through. All right, so yeah, we got a question. Fault issues with the peak meters. So give me a little bit of understanding. I'm not familiar with the peak meters. Is that something with some utility companies up in Vermont?
Off-peak metering, I think, is what they're looking at, but I'd like to know.
All right, so yeah, so I'm actually not familiar with how that's working. So if you can get me some information, I can certainly look into why there might have been some issues, and then we can see maybe how to work around that, or what the Gen 5 would be doing different that might handle that better. So Kevin, maybe you can get me some information on that, or maybe even we can talk after this, maybe get a phone call set up or something. We can talk about that.
Maybe
Okay.
put your info in the chat box.
Yeah. Diane, I got a little bit of that too. There was a thing with the API integration where we were trying to be able to allow them to be able to do off-peak metering through basically a Wi-Fi signal. And essentially what they were doing, and especially in some of these little net zero houses, they wanted to be able to just de-energize the heat pump when it gets to, let's say, 15 degrees, so they're not heating a house to basically, or not cooling a house to basically have to reheat it. So there is some people on the API integration team that were working with their people, and I don't know who's actually heading that up now, but that's what we'll have to look for.
Okay, so we can certainly get with them. Just based off of that information, again, without knowing much more about it, I would say the Gen 5 would probably handle that a lot better, just because we can do more scheduling with that. So it gives you the opportunity for, different set points, different times of day, that type of thing. Certainly there's more flexibility built into those units, as well as the memory that's built into it. But yeah, we'll talk about that offline, Kevin, and I can look at that and certainly bring in our product manager if we need to, and maybe figure out a workaround if there are some issues. Okay. All right. Yeah. So what we can probably do is set up a call where we'll bring in our product manager and see if there's some good workarounds for that. Excellent. All right. Any other questions before we kind of bring this to a close? I'll give you guys a couple of seconds if anyone wants to jump into the chat. But, as we do bring it to a close, I know we're at our stopping point here for time. Thank you, first of all. We appreciate Efficiency Vermont and VEIC for helping us to set this up. We thank everyone who was on here for your input, your questions, and we certainly thank you for helping to promote our product. We are really excited about the 5th generation. So we're going to be working hard with you guys to help promote it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good job, Diane.
Thanks,
Awesome.
Diane.
Absolutely, guys. And Kevin, we'll be in touch. Just reach out to me and we'll see what we can do.
Take care.